Today is day 5, July 2023. We will continue with things we have, observing at first that the trust as the object, under the observation as antitrust justice and international by companies and others considering the regular patterns at the market to be competitive and achieve things legally made and properly made, allowing you to do the transparency and satisfaction as accomplished, required and needed, including the investors and your stakeholders, and in the same way the investors and the stakeholders. When you misguided your activity by the lack of control, of course that the interaction of fails will set the functionality as fail. But in the same way, when you do the abusive control or the excess as control, like you do at the taxation, you are doing something illegal in the same way. And we will check that in both cases, you will switch your pattern as the right way as doing things to the wrong doing. And in many moments or situations, this will cross the limits as crime and criminal activity, especially when you and the public departments and corporate peers notice that can take advantage by unfair treatment of others, scapegoat things, or obtain advantage as something illegal. The idea of trust is basically this. We could observe that if we do a tactical choke of the organized crime using the credit and the strategical authorization by the debt, which are the areas not satisfied, of course that we can observe inside this that has the tax police as something made by government and the central banks. And we will observe that will move your curves as macroeconomy in a very aggressive way, but by fail and things that are inside your institutions, switching the pattern of things and not have violating premises of the economy. And in the same way, this kind of thing goes by silence and have the infiltration and continued by broken windows, only still inside after got in and remains, having no dismiss at all. If we need an international procedure to protect international credit sourced at the legal right under constitutional conformance, it's proven that during all those periods you never had the interest as do the dismiss procedure, present the dismissal list, or do anything against the crime inside the public departments, institution, structure, system, considering the corporate peers on it, especially if you're caught on budget by silence and concurrent association as collinear pattern of advantage in general leading to corruption. And you observe that the curious thing of the pattern as trust is that she will create a barrier to you achieve your rights or have the flow as regular flow of your rights as be an elector, a citizen, a consumer, or even your driver license. And if you could be out of this integrated fail by criminal purpose at least once, you will probably will have no interest as turning back. But the criminal activity is invasive, will steal data, your time, and a big part of your life, stalking you and chasing you and your relatives, harassing you, your space, hurting interest on it, and pushes you to a situation that you must do the open data at the source as work you are offering, even considering that you probably will change the government or something like this, but you do this to protect yourself as self-defense by the information that got lifted could be transferred around or have the insertion of things that do not belong to you. And you must have this as the open data. Of course, that we never consider, for instance, do the open data for the offenders, because the offenders are the cause to request the open data even in critical issues that shouldn't be never ever but opened, for instance, by the circumstance we have. We will check that this kind of activity will try to, engulf you again. But if they do this beyond at their limits, including the jurisdiction and the capacity of the departments to act in a illicit way by the continued fails inside, they will probably try to drag you back, setting a barrier to you have your right or flow, the regular flow of your rights. Kind of have a new driving license or an authorization to set a party, or at your company will have a lot of requirements to you do your business activity, and will put you inside this kind of thing again. You please take a look at the risk report 2023 tracejuly.blogspot.com. You observe there that this kind of thing, as you could observe, as the pattern in the United States, considering the right you have to drink since you had a barrier, and someone took advantage of these setting levels and levels as a distribution and influence to achieve the great beverage as drink and alcohol, and goes since 1920, I think. Of course, that is a pattern very similar to this. In this case, you had the trust. In this case, you have the cartel trying to form a trust. Very similar, but here is going only with the alcohol. Here with all essential rights and basic rights, civil rights and guarantees, considering the international credit as requirement to the criminal system, charged and viewed from the debt to present the arguments needed or required at the international arena in considering this credit and paycheck. We request to do the payment in U.S. Embassy because the system lost the legitimacy to actually legal as an integrated fail by the current composition of the entire institutional array with interaction and integrated on budget, financial system, public and corporate, public financial crimes 359A up to 360 of the criminal law, with fake records on 313, considering the public departments 11,850 Article 1, 2, and 3, and blind eye association Article 13 of the criminal law. The infiltrated agents on your business are under the rulers of your business, and if doing a wrongdoing or have the bad behavior, your company will have them all on courts, applying your legal statements, your legal consequence, and your business consequence and statement, calling them all to be at the embassy that represents your nation as headquarters in order to transfer them all to the court as headquarters in the way and the place you live. If, for instance, it's an infiltrated agent on IBM, Brazilian, take advantage of the Kubernetes, they will be, and using this at the communication area, setting levels and a lot of things, in U.S. Embassy to be charged and convicted in United States of America. If it goes against any son, they will be convicted in Japan, against the Renault on France, Europe, and goes like this. Then, the last thing we have, the uncovering the view as judicial theory in the United States is embraced by the Brazilian legal system, but the trust acts beyond the limits of the law by abusive procedure, which is illegal and much worse to suppress legal rights and guarantees, putting you in a condition as suppression that can be morally, can be by violence, and any other things. You please take a look to understand that the infiltrated agents at the consumer market affecting the consumer relation is on Law 8078. Article 4, Clause 1 says that the consumer, my case, is the vulnerable element at this relation. We don't have access of all things. The second thing, the basic rights on Article 6, 8, it's the facility to present proofs that I never had at once in my life in Brazil, and the Article 10, the proper public service, unable to present public information. It's another defaulted thing. The Article 51 is that this infiltrated agent and abusive procedure can create companies, offer service at the international company communication, changing the structure of the market, the balance of the competitive things, setting monopoly and the trust after pass-through cartel, institutional corruption, and electoral crimes. Not only in Brazil, interaction by and through the public department that has the flow freely in all homeland as Brazil can be a vehicle, official vehicle, parked in front of your house or in the store that you are doing your supermarket purchase, sending messages after cloning your mobile or entire things, violating all things, sending messages as you, and all this for sure hurting the interest, and the interest as third interest related with my independent effort, with no links at all with the Brazil as required to cut them all as soil and blood, having only my nationality as Portuguese as right equally defaulted by Brazil, but recognized as request made to the European and the America as United States, and started the analysis to be or have the status as American citizen, to operate and have the legal capacity to do the accomplished with banks, judicial account USA, America, gateway Japan, as Asia. The idea, having the summary, the uncovering view will fight hard the trust and in general put the trust down. It's the idea of the United States as judicial theory, and it's the idea in Brazil. Article 51 of the Consumer Law, considering the activity at the market and consumer relation, plus the criminal architecture already presented, especially Law 12,350 and 313A of the criminal law, with Article 13, basic records, infiltrated agents committing crimes, violating the legitimacy, the business activity, and the charge against them all by Article 37 of the Brazilian Constitution, paragraph number 6, that will allow you international business and international business machines to charge them as federative unit or public entity that must do the regression against the offenders, and you know exactly who they are because they are infiltrated at your company under your company and business statements, violating in general, as the case of IBM, for instance, the history of the United States one more time, because some areas violated the preamble, and all this has the instability and do not bring the tranquility as domestic tranquility in Brazil or in any other area, because it's based on corruption and covered by institutional corruption. We will let this message clear and end this conversation today, having the last thing, the pattern trust in USA, a barrier created to you achieve the pleasure on alcohol since 1920. In Brazil, a barrier created to you achieve and flow any right or guarantee to drag you back even if you cut your ties with this thing. Brazil has no legal accomplishment and had unfortunately decreased as legitimacy and capacity to act according with the law. We can observe that she seems that never act straight at the Security Forum with a peer that is the United States, but had information dripped from inside. but must remains like this because it's a permanent form. Have a nice night and weekend.